Something quiet has been happening beneath the surface of modern relationships, and most men don't notice it until it's already cost them. You see it in the way a man texts twice after she hasn't responded. You see it in the way he rearranges his Friday night, cancelling plans with friends he hasn't seen in weeks because she might be free. You see it in the slight hesitation before he voices an opinion that contradicts hers, the way his voice softens, the way he begins every complex sentence with an apology. These are not dramatic moments. No one is watching, no one is keeping score, but something is shifting beneath the interaction, something older than language, older than conscious thought. She is pulling back, not because he did something cruel or unforgivable, but because he became too available, too eager, too present. And the more he tries to close the distance, the wider it becomes. There is a man I spoke with recently who described it perfectly without realizing what he was describing. He said he felt like he was always one step behind in his own relationship, always catching up to a woman who seemed to be walking slightly faster than him, never quite turning around. He cooked for her. He planned dates. He remembered small details about her day and asked follow-up questions that proved he'd been listening. He made himself available whenever she needed him, sometimes at the expense of his own work, his own sleep, his own clarity. And yet, the more he gave, the less she seemed to want him. Not in some obvious theatrical way, just a slow cooling, fewer texts, more time between responses. Her eyes drifted when he spoke, a certain flatness in her voice when she said his name. He couldn't understand it because he had done everything he thought he was supposed to do. He had been attentive, present, and emotionally available. He had been the opposite of every distant, unavailable man she'd complained about in the past, and that, precisely, was the problem. Arthur Schopenhauer understood this long before we had dating apps and evolutionary psychology think pieces to explain it. He understood that desire is not a response to goodness, fairness, or effort. Desire is a response to resistance. It is the will, blind and relentless, reaching toward what it does not yet possess and losing interest the moment possession is complete. He would say that the man who makes himself too available is not being rejected for moral failure. He is being denied because he has removed the tension that makes desire possible. He had solved the puzzle before she could enjoy solving it herself, and in doing so, he has transformed himself from an object of pursuit into a certainty, a given, a piece of furniture in her life that she no longer notices because it is always there. By the end of this, you will understand precisely why detachment still attracts more than availability, not because women are shallow or because kindness is weakness, but because there is a structure beneath human desire that does not care about your intentions, only about the conditions that keep the machinery of attraction alive. And if you ignore this, you will keep losing women, not despite your effort, but because of it. Schopenhauer lived in the early 19th century in a world still governed by aristocratic codes and romantic ideals about love conquering all. But he saw through it. He spent his life watching men destroy themselves, chasing women, watching women tire of the men who worshipped them, and he concluded that romantic love was not some transcendent force that elevated humanity. It was a trick, a biological script designed to ensure reproduction, dressed up in the language of the soul, to make us cooperate with our own exploitation. He called it the will to life, an unconscious force that moves through all living things, using pleasure and pain to manipulate us into behaviors that serve the species rather than the individual. When a man falls in love, Schopenhauer would say, he is not experiencing something noble. He is experiencing the will using him as a vehicle, flooding his brain with chemicals that make a particular woman seem like the answer to every question he has ever asked. And the moment that script is fulfilled, the moment she is his, the will loses interest. The obsession fades, the longing dies. What remains is two people staring at each other, wondering where the magic went. This is the brutal thesis that runs beneath everything we are about to examine. A man who makes himself too available removes the resistance that desire requires to stay alive. Detachment is not a tactic. It is the natural condition of a man who has something more important than her attention. And availability, when it comes too easily, when it is given without being earned, signals to her unconscious mind that you have nowhere else to be, nothing else pulling at you, no mission, no center, no life that exists independently of her. It signals that you are already hers. And the moment you are already hers, she stops wanting you. Look at how this plays out in the early stages of dating. A man meets a woman, there is attraction, chemistry, and a few good conversations. He is interested. He wants to see her again. And because he has been told that communication is healthy, that honesty is attractive, that playing games is immature, he does the straightforward thing. He texts her the next day. He tells her he had a great time. He suggests another date. He responds quickly when she messages him. He makes it clear that he is available, that she doesn't have to wonder where she stands, that he is not the kind of man who will leave her guessing. And in his mind, this is virtue. This is maturity. This is what separates him from the emotionally unavailable men she's complained about in the past. But what he doesn't realize is that he has just collapsed the space where her desire was beginning to build. Schopenhauer would say that desire is fundamentally a state of lack. You do not desire what you already have. You desire what you do not have, what you are not sure you can have, what remains just outside your grasp. The moment a man makes himself too available, he removes the lack. He hands her certainty. And certainty, in the realm of attraction, is the death of longing. She no longer has to wonder if he is interested. She no longer has to work to keep his attention. She no longer has to compete with the rest of his life for his time and focus. He has made it clear that she is the priority, the center, the thing around which everything else revolves. And this, paradoxically, makes her lose interest. Not consciously. She does not sit down and think, he is too available, therefore I will stop being attracted to him. It happens beneath the surface, in the part of her mind that is older than culture, older than language, the part that is still scanning for signs of status, scarcity, other women wanting him, and his attention as a prize to be won, not a given to be assumed. Now compare this to the man she cannot stop thinking about. He is no longer physically attractive. He is not wealthier. He is not kinder or more emotionally intelligent. But when she texts him, he does not respond immediately. Sometimes he responds an hour later, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes the next day, not because he is playing a calculated game, but because he is genuinely busy. He has work that absorbs him. He has projects that matter to him. He has friends he sees, hobbies he pursues, a life that does not pause just because she entered it. When they make plans, he suggests a time that works for him, and if she cannot make it, he does not offer 5 alternatives. He says, "No problem, let me know when you're free." And then he goes back to whatever he was doing. He does not double text. He does not over-explain. He does not apologize for having boundaries. And this creates a feeling in her that she cannot name but cannot ignore either. She starts checking her phone more often. She starts wondering what he is doing. She starts noticing how long it's been since they last spoke. She starts putting more effort into her messages, trying to be funnier, more interesting, more memorable. She starts suggesting dates before he does. And when they finally meet, she's more engaged, more present, more attracted, because she has spent the time in between convincing herself that he is worth pursuing. This is not manipulation. This is a structure. The detached man is not pretending to be busy. He is actually busy. He is not withholding affection to create artificial scarcity. He is not giving more than he has received. He is not rearranging his life around someone who has not yet earned that position in his life. And this, Schopenhauer would argue, is the only honest way to navigate the machinery of desire. Because the moment you make a woman the center of your life before she has proven herself worthy of that position, you are lying. You are lying about your value. You are lying about the fullness of your existence. You are signaling that your life was empty before her, that you have been waiting for her to give it meaning. And she will believe you, not because she wants to, but because the signal is too clear to ignore. And once she thinks it, she will stop liking you. I work with men who do not understand this until it is too late. They enter relationships with women they are wildly attracted to, women they feel lucky to have, and they make the mistake of showing bad luck too openly. They prioritize her above everything. They cancel plans with friends to spend time with her. They rearrange their work schedule to accommodate hers. They text her throughout the day, checking in, asking how she's doing, making sure she knows they are thinking about her, and for a while, she seems to appreciate it. She responds warmly. She says things like, "You're so sweet," or "I'm lucky to have you." But beneath the surface, something is changing. The respect is fading. The attraction is cooling. She starts testing him. She starts cancelling plans at the last minute to see if he will tolerate it. She starts being less responsive, less affectionate, and less engaged. And when he asks what's wrong, she says, "Nothing, I'm just stressed," or "I need space." And he believes her because he wants to believe her. He gives her space. He provides her patience, he gives her understanding, and she uses that space to start looking elsewhere. The man she starts looking at is not necessarily better than him in any objective sense, but he has one thing that her current partner no longer has. He is not hers yet. He has not made himself too available. He has not collapsed the distance. He has not removed the resistance. And so her desire, which had gone dormant in the comfort of her current relationship, wakes up again. It wakes up because it has something to reach toward. And the man who did everything right, who gave everything he had, who sacrificed his time, his mission, and his friendships to prove his devotion, is left confused and betrayed, wondering what he did wrong. But he did nothing wrong. He did something predictable. He made the oldest mistake a man can make. He confused kindness with attraction, and he assumed that giving more would make her want him more. And Schopenhauer, if he were sitting beside him, would say, "You were not rejected for being an evil man. You were denied because you were a confident man. You removed the mystery. You removed the challenge. You removed the will's reason to pursue you. And without that, there is no desire." Now, zoom out further. This is not just happening to individual men in isolated relationships. This is happening at scale, across an entire generation, and the consequences are broader than most people realize. We live in a world where men are told from a young age that emotional availability is attractive, that vulnerability is strength, that the key to a woman's heart is openness and honesty and presence. And these are not lies exactly. They are partial truths that become dangerous when taken too literally. Because emotional availability, when given too early to someone who has not earned it, does not create intimacy. It creates discomfort. Vulnerability, when used as a strategy rather than shared as a risk, does not build trust. It creates suspicion. And presence, when it means a man has nothing else in his life pulling at him, does not create desire. It creates suffocation. Dating apps have made this worse, not better. They have turned attention into a currency, and women, beautiful women, are flooded with it. She wakes up to dozens of messages from men who are immediately available, immediately interested, immediately willing to rearrange their lives for a chance to be with her. And the sheer abundance of that availability devalues it. It is no longer special. It is no longer rare. It is just noise. And the men who stand out are not the ones offering the most. They are the ones providing the least. The ones who do not respond immediately. The ones who do not chase. The ones whose profiles suggest they have something else going on, something that matters more than matching with her. These are the men whose messages she responds to first, not because they are better men, but because their attention feels more valuable, because it is scarce, because it is not being thrown at her like confetti. Schopenhauer would see this and nod. He would say that the will does not care about fairness. It does not care about effort. It only cares about the conditions that make desire possible. And in a world where availability is abundant, detachment becomes the only thing that still registers as valuable. The man who is not chasing, who is not over-investing, who is not making her the center of his universe, is the man whose attention she starts competing for. Not because he is manipulating her, but because he is living according to a principle that the will still recognizes. Scarcity creates value, and abundance destroys it. The cost of ignoring this is not just romantic failure. It is deeper than that. Men who make themselves too available, who abandon their mission, who center their lives around a woman, do not just lose her. They lose themselves. They wake up one day and realize they have no hobbies they care about, no friends they see regularly, no goals that excite them. Their entire sense of worth has become dependent on her approval, her affection, her presence. And when she leaves, which she almost always does, they are left with nothing. Not because she took something from them, but because they gave it away. They gave away their time, their attention, their purpose, and their self-respect, willingly, thinking it would make her love them more. But it had the opposite effect. It made her respect them less. It made her see them as weak, as needy, as small. And once a woman sees a man that way, it is almost impossible to reverse. There is a line Schopenhauer wrote that cuts to the heart of this. We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves to be like other people. But in the context of relationships, it is even worse. Men forfeit 3/4 of themselves to be what they think a woman wants. And in doing so, they become precisely the kind of man she cannot like, because what she wants, what they will wish to, is not a man who shapes himself around her. It is a man who has a shape of his own, a center of gravity that exists independently of her, a life that is full and meaningful whether she is in it or not. And the moment a man loses that, the moment he begins to define himself through her eyes, he is finished. Not because he is bad, but because he is no longer solid. He has become liquid, formless, reactive, and women do not desire water, they desire stone. Notice when you start checking your phone more often, waiting for her response. Notice when you start justifying why you should be the one to text first again. Notice when you begin avoiding topics that might create conflict, when you soften your opinions to match hers, when you apologize for things you do not believe you did wrong. These are not signs of love, these are signs of self-abandonment, and they are happening because you have made her the axis around which your life revolves. You have made her validation the measure of your worth. And once you do that, you are no longer negotiating from a position of strength, you are negotiating from a position of need. And need in the realm of attraction is repellent. Stop pretending that giving more will fix this. It will not. The woman who is losing interest in you is not going to suddenly wake up and realize what a great man you are if you cook one more dinner, plan one more date, send one more thoughtful text. She already knows you are willing to do those things. That is not the problem. The problem is that you are too willing. You are too eager, you are too present, and every additional act of service, every additional gesture of affection, every additional message you send without her reciprocating is making it worse, because you are confirming over and over again that your attention is cheap, that your time is not valuable, that you have nowhere else to be, nothing else pulling at you, and she is absorbing that information at a level beneath conscious thought, and it is killing her attraction to you. Instead, begin to move as if your life is complete. Not because you are pretending, not because you're playing a game, but because it actually is full, because you have work that matters, because you have projects that absorb you, because you have a mission that exists independently of her. And when she reaches out, you respond when it is convenient for you, not the moment you see her name on your screen. You suggest times that work for your schedule, not hers. You allow her to react, to feel disappointment, to wonder if you are still interested, and you do not rush to fix it. You sit with the discomfort of her uncertainty, and you let her sit with it too, because uncertainty is the soil where desire grows, and the moment you remove it, you remove the possibility of her wanting you. Refuse to explain yourself, refuse to justify your boundaries, refuse to apologize for having a life. When she asks why you took so long to respond, you do not say, "I'm sorry, I was just swamped." You say, "I was working," and you leave it at that. When she suggests a time that does not work for you, you do not offer 5 alternatives and bend yourself into a pretzel to accommodate her. You say, "That doesn't work for me, but I'm free Thursday." And if she says Thursday doesn't work, you say, "No problem, let me know when you're free." And then you forget about it. You do not follow up. You do not chase. You allow her to come to you, or you allow her not to. And either outcome is acceptable, because your life does not depend on her presence. This is not cruelty, this is sovereignty. This is what it looks like when a man understands that his value is not determined by how much a woman wants him, but by how clearly he holds his own center. And women, whether they admit it or not, are attracted to that. They are attracted to the man who does not need them, not because they want to be neglected, but because they want to know that their choice to be with him is a choice, not a necessity. They want to know that he would be fine without them, because if he were not fine without them, then his desire for them is not really about them. It is about his own emptiness, and that is suffocating. Allow her to react while you remain still. When she gets upset because you did not text her back within an hour, do not panic. Do not rush to explain. Do not send a paragraph apologizing and promising to do better. Just acknowledge it calmly. Say, "I wasn't on my phone," and leave it there. If she pushes, if she says, "You're always on your phone," do not defend yourself. Just say, "I wasn't this time," and let the silence sit. She is testing you. She is testing to see if you will break, if you will abandon your frame, if you will collapse into apology and reassurance. And if you do, you fail the test. Not because she wants you to fail, but because the part of her that is testing you is not conscious. It is older than I thought. It is the part of her that is still trying to figure out whether you are solid, whether you are real, whether you are a man who can hold his ground when she pushes against it. If you ignore this, if you continue down the path of over-availability, of putting her first, of making her the center of your life, Here is what your future looks like. 5 years from now, you will have gone through another 2 or 3 relationships, and each one will follow the same pattern. You will meet a woman, you will be excited, you will give everything, and slowly she will lose interest. And each time, you will be more confused, more bitter, more convinced that women do not know what they want. You will start saying things like, "They say they want a good man, but they always go for the assholes." And you will be wrong, but you will not know why. You will become smaller, be more careful, more resentful. You will stop approaching women because the rejection hurts too much. You will stop putting yourself out there because the effort feels pointless. And eventually, you will settle for a woman who does not excite you. A woman you do not really want, but who is willing to tolerate you. And you will spend the rest of your life in a relationship that feels like a slow, quiet form of death. Not because you are an evil man, but because you never learned the one thing that matters. That availability without detachment is not love, it is needed. And need is the opposite of desire. But if you take this as initiation, if you allow this to wake you up, here is the other path. 5 years from now, you will have rebuilt your life around your mission. You will have work that absorbs you. You will have friends who respect you. You will have discipline that gives you pride, and women will enter your life. And some will stay, and some will leave, and it will not break you because you will have remembered that your center is not in her, it is in you. And when a woman is with you, she will feel it. She will think that you do not need her to complete you. She will think that you have something else pulling at you, something that matters more than her comfort or her approval, and that will make her want you, not in some shallow, temporary way, but in the way that actually lasts. Because she will know that you are not with her out of need, you're with her out of choice. And that is the only foundation on which real attraction can be built. A man who makes himself too available removes the resistance that desire requires to stay alive. Detachment is not the opposite of love. It is the precondition for it. And the tragedy is not that women are cruel or shallow for responding to it. The tragedy is that so many men have been taught to do the opposite, and they are punishing themselves for virtues that the structure beneath desire does not recognize as valuable. She does not kill your purpose. She reflects its absence. If this hits something in you, if it makes you see a pattern you have been blind to, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe and keep this work alive for the men who are still lost in the fog, trying to figure out why their effort keeps being punished, why their kindness keeps being met with coldness. And remember this, the world does not owe you desire, but it will respond to detachment every single time. The only question is whether you are willing to become the kind of man whose attention is scarce enough to matter.